Good afternoon, Patriot pals. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. And Jill Biden once again slipping up and showing who is actually pulling some of Joe Biden's strings. Everybody out there and immediate tries to present that Joe Biden is the president. Well, we know for a long time that Joe is not the person that they claimed that he is. He has a puppet master. He has a couple of puppet masters actually. Barack Hussein Obama being one of them, in Jill Biden, who loves being the first lady, loves the ad aberration that comes along with it, love the party invitations, loves to be able to rub elbows with the Hollywood stars and all of these entertainers and things like that, and she thinks she's a princess or a queen. And she doesn't want to give that power up anytime soon. So she's going to fight for every minute of the limelight. So, of course, she was out there talking about how she's going to continue to be the president, right? So let's kind of dive into what we have here. It says President Jill Biden has big plans for her 2024 campaign and nothing will stop her. That's right. Of course, the mainstream media or MSN reported that Joe Biden, an expected re-election bid, will thrust his wife Jill Biden further into the public eye as the White House deploys to self-described introvert to help win over women. She's no introvert. She's a power-crazed woman who is committing elder abuse. The piece goes on to say that what little polly exists in regard to the First Lady, who is 71, suggests she's unknown to many Americans, even after 2 years at the side of the world's most powerful person. But within the White House, she is understood to be the president's closest and most protective confidant. She's a gut check. She's his gut check on everything, says Michael Rose, a former press secretary to the First Lady and special assistant to the president. Don't you find it very interesting that there's no pulling on Jill on how the American people feel about her? I'm sure we'll all know why people can't stand this woman for allowing her husband to look like a top clown in a circus on the world stage. Also, the comment about being Joe's gut check is code for Jill is running the operation that you see unfolding on the ground. Obama is running what you don't see behind the scenes, and the two of them are going to have a huge clash over 2024. The piece goes on to say that as the campaign unfolds, the First Lady is expected to assert herself on major decisions, especially the biggest of them all, whether Biden, that at the oldest person to ever hold the presidency, will run for re-election in the first place. She supports a bid, according to people familiar with the matter, because she cares about her husband is perceived and believes he is better at a job than his 42% average approval rating indicates. Most Americans think momentum for the president's re-election announcement has stalled as the White House grapples with controversy over classified documents discovered the Bidens' Wilmington, Delaware home and the office of Joe Biden used after his vice presidency. But the campaign has effectively already begun as the White House spars almost daily with potential GOP challengers, including former President Donald J. Trump, and for Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. You're probably thinking nobody elected Joe Biden as president of the U.S. You're right. But technically, nobody else did for him either. Well, Joe run in 2024. She'll try. But I think the heat and pressure from the Democrats who don't want either Biden anywhere near the train for campaign will get too hot and heavy, and ultimately she'll be forced to pull back, but we'll see what happens. Yes, the curtain is being revealed a little bit more every time as Alice Cooper here looks to go ahead and run for re-election. And some significant news: White House says it has approved 16 million borrowers for student debt relief. The White House on Friday said it has already approved around 16 million Americans for student debt relief ahead of the Supreme Court debate on whether or not the program will be allowed to proceed. The White House revealed the figure in a press release, noting that around 26 million individuals were poised to receive student debt relief in September of last year, and that, quote, over 16 million of those borrowers' applications were fully approved by the department and sent to loan servicers. The program was put on pause in November, when the Supreme Court ordered a halt to the proceedings as it considered lawsuits critical other forgiveness plan. The High Court is expected to hear arguments regarding the plan on February 28. House Republicans and Democrats team up to sanction Iranian supreme leader and other top regime figures. House Republicans and Democrats are teaming up to sanction Iran's supreme leader and other top regime figures for human rights crimes. According to congressional sources, foreign policy leaders from both parties are working behind a piece of legislation dubbed the Mahsa Amini Act after the 22-year-old Iranian woman was killed by the regime's morality police for improperly wearing a head covering. The bill would, quote, impose sanctions on the Supreme Leader of Iran and the President of Iran and their respective offices for human rights abuses and support for terrorism. The bipartisan support for the bill signals that leaders in both parties want the United States to take a tougher line on the Iranian regime as it murders and imprisons dissidents who are protesting to take down the Heartland government. While the Biden administration has enacted several sanctions on Iranian human rights abusers, it has stopped short of targeting the Supreme Leader, the President, and other senior figures responsible for running the regime's violent crackdown on protesters. The Mahsa Amini Act was introduced in the previous Congress, but it failed to garner support from any Democrat this time around. However, with Republicans in control of the House, Democratic foreign policy leaders are lending their support to the bill. This shift highlights growing frustration over the U.S. response to the Iranian protests, which are dragging into their fifth month. According to congressional sources tracking the situation, the bill was reintroduced on Friday. According to congressional sources, Representative Jim Banks, the bill's authors, said that the Biden administration has been too slow to sanction Iranian leaders for their human rights crimes. Banks shared that European countries have begun to outpace the United States when it comes to sanctioning Iranian leaders and to sanctioning Iranian leaders for the response to the protests. Biden notebooks found in FBI search might have referenced classified information. Notebooks used by Joe Biden during his time as vice president were among the items taken by the FBI during a search of one of his Delaware homes last week. According to a person familiar with the investigation, these notebooks, which Biden wrote in while serving as vice president under Barack Obama, were taken by the FBI due to some of the notes relating to his work as vice president, which could refer to the classified information. The identified person said this person also claimed that while none of the notebooks had classified markings on them, some of the notes could be considered classified due to their sensitive content. Quote, as noted in the statement released on January 14, consistent with our views of the requirements of our cooperation with the DOJ on this matter, we will not comment on the accuracy of reports of this nature, said a spokesperson for Biden's personal lawyer Bob Bauer. Brennan said the notebooks were handwritten notes from Biden with some relating to his personal life and family, while others detailed his current experiences and thoughts of his time as vice president. According to the unidentified person, it is as of now unclear how many notebooks were taken by the FBI, but the source claimed that it was a large amount. Notebooks containing notes about personal matters that get mixed in with notes on government business would likely be considered personal property, as long as Biden never shared them with any government staff members during his time as vice president. However, if Biden had shared the notes with staff, the notebooks would be deemed official records belonging to the government. According to Jason R. Barron, a former director of litigation at the National Archives, the FBI searched Biden's home in Wilmington, Delaware for any possible records from this time as vice president on January 20. Among the items taken were, quote, personally handwritten notes, files, papers, binders, memorabilia, to-do lists, schedules, and reminders going back decades. Bauer, his lawyer, said Biden administration releases over 1,300 criminal illegal aliens in just 1 month. Joe Biden's administration released over 1,300 criminal illegal aliens in a single month. According to recently disclosed statistics, immigration officials released 521 convicted criminal aliens and 795 with pending criminal charges in December of 2022 per data released by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. The number of convicted criminal aliens and those with pending charges released was up from 58% from the month prior and 48% from October. Convicted criminals are defined as people who violate immigration law and have a criminal conviction at the time they are taken into custody by ICE. The exact convictions are not detailed. Other immigrants have pending criminal charges at the time of arrest. Most of the releases stemmed from orders of an interim determination that the alien in question is, quote, not a detention priority. Others were under orders of supervision were released due to a field office being, quote, unable to obtain a travel document or put on parole. The latter is a case-by-case determination for, quote, urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit enabled by federal law. Quote, the law explicitly requires those who cross the border illegally to be detained. But the Biden administration clearly does not want to detain or deport anyone. So it is not surprising that they are releasing criminal aliens as well, said Ron Kovach, the press secretary for the Federation for American Immigrant Reform. He continues, quote, "Public safety is the rule of law and is under attack to advance their radical open borders agenda." Authorities also released in December more than 28,000 migrants who violated immigration law but did not have a criminal conviction or any pending charges beyond the immigration law violation. Another 203 convicted criminals were bonded out or given bond by a judge or a DHS official after a court hearing. Another 91 were bonded out with pending criminal charges, and another 14 were bonded out with no convictions or pending charges. The numbers come after the termination of enforcement proceedings against tens of thousands of illegal immigrants because authorities failed to provide documents telling the immigrants to appear in court. Adam Schiff faces ethics complaints for political ad. Just one day after announcing Senate campaign, Representative Adam Schiff is facing an early obstacle to his 2024 Senate bid after a nonprofit ethics organization filed a complaint to the Office of Congressional Ethics accusing the California Democrat of using government resources to boost himself politically. Schiff announced his intent to run for the Senate on Thursday, releasing a campaign video that featured a video from President Donald Trump's first impeachment trial in 2019, of which Schiff was the lead prosecutor. The ad prompted a complaint from the Foundation for Accountability and Civic Trust, which requested the Office of Congressional Ethics to investigate whether Schiff, quotes, abused official resources for political purposes. Quote, "In the present case, Representative Schiff is clearly using official government video for campaign purposes in violation of federal law and the House ethics rules," the group wrote in a letter to the Ethics Office on Friday. They continue, quote, "The Office of Congressional Ethics is responsible for ensuring each representative fulfills the public trust inherent in the office and that they comply with the House's ethical standards. Therefore, we urge the board to immediately investigate whether Representative Schiff used official resources for campaign purposes in violation of the House ethics rules." In his campaign announcement, Schiff used video of him speaking on the Senate floor during Trump's impeachment proceedings. Ethics rules prohibit members from using government resources in their campaign materials, which includes photographs or videos taken from inside the House or Senate. Some journalists on social media have speculated that because Schiff used video from news outlets, it may be used as a workaround to bypass House rules. However, members of the nonprofit organization argued the House ethics rules extend to third-party sources. Quotes, "The law is broad. Not only is a member directly prohibited from using the video, but the member cannot repost from other sources or use video obtained from news outlets," the group wrote. They continue, quote, "This is an important rule because it not only protects taxpayer-funded resources from abuse, but it also protects the integrity of official proceedings by reducing the incentive for members to make political speeches during official proceedings." Schiff's campaign pushed back against the complaint, noting that because the video footage was taken from the Senate floor rather than from the House, it does not violate any ethics rules. Ladies and gentlemen, give me your thoughts below. And hit subscribe right now. Thank you again. Thank you.